So let's go ahead and call this meeting to order, our budget meeting, and just begin. Last week we had a wonderful year in review, and did I say last year? No.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah. Last week we had a wonderful year in review of our year. And then tonight we're going to move into revenues and possibly general government. Well, we will move to general government as well. I don't believe last week you went over all of the definitions, the reader's guide and all that, but I think we're pretty efficient where we can look that up if we have questions. So Mr. Barnes, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Thanks, Mayor, and good evening, everyone. Yeah, I did go over the Reader's Guide last week, and we went over revenues, we went over capital, debt service, and grants, and the AF funds. So tonight we're going to try to work on general government and public works. But before we do that, Councilmember Chester, you were not at last week's meeting, so if you had any questions, I'm happy to try to address them now, or if you want to ask them as we go along, that's fine.
I feel like I can just ask as we go. I read through like the summary sections of the beginning of the binder, and if my sort of questions don't come up when we actually go through the budget relative to those things, then I'll flag you. But I think I'm ready to just move forward.
Okay, terrific.
Yeah, thank you.
Good. I didn't want you to feel like
thank you.
You could, yeah. So this is the recap sheet, the summary sheet that does all the line items at once. I'm happy to go through each of the line items if that's something that you want to do, and maybe it is easier to actually look at the salaries. Obviously, in general government, we don't have very many. Myself and Avery and you folks are pretty much it. So that's a bare bones salary line items there. I did include merit pay, as I told everyone last time, and cost of living increase of 3%. I actually saw where, of course, inflation's running much higher than that. So 3% has been what we've been sticking with, and it seems to work well for keeping us competitive with our salaries across the board. I don't budget for department heads for those kinds of increases. And let's see, let's get down. State retirement, of course, that's our share. Some folks don't understand that our pension program is a defined benefit program. You're guaranteed a benefit after 10 years of vesting. The town does not match your contribution. 7% of your salary is immediately from day one that you're hired, goes into that program. What we pay into the program is overall cost and operation and fund solvency of the pension program based on actuarial studies when we joined the pension program in 2014. So the number you see here is based on that actuarial study of our share of this department's share of what the bill we get each year for the pension program. On the monthly reports, you see employee contributions that is a check that goes to the state. You only see this particular check that goes once a year. There's always some confusion about that. Let's see. Medical and life insurance. I don't take any medical insurance, so I only have life insurance through the town, and then Avery has medical insurance, and so we budget accordingly for that cost. The town, as you recall, the town pays all of a single cost, and we're in the state of Maryland's program, so they can choose when an employee comes on board, they can choose from 6 different health programs, 2 different dental programs, the drug program, accidental life, and then life insurance, all handled through the state of Maryland. Then on the family portion, we pay 65% of the family coverage. So an employee ends up paying 35% of the cost of family after the single has been subtracted. Telephone, we pay allowances for the phones. We do very, very small water bill here at Town Hall. We're very frugal, I think. I'm not sure what it is, but we don't even do $100 a month typically. So that's a good thing. Same with our electric. The building is well insulated, although there's many pockets in the building where it's cold, and I'm not sure exactly why that is. Maybe because like my office and the mayor's office is kind of an add-on, and so is Avery's and the admin assistant's office. So we seem to all be running heaters from time to time. Postage, we send out obviously postage. We have miscellaneous supplies that we use. Most of these line items stay fairly constant. We do some uniforms occasionally. The mayor, if you recall, got hoodies last year. We get t-shirts sometimes for council. Trainings, we don't do a lot of trainings that cost. We try to do the trainings that are inexpensive, but occasionally somebody needs to learn something specific and we need to do a quick seminar. So we plan. As you can see, we haven't spent any this year, and we only spent $455 2 years ago. So dues, here is the list of dues that you have for membership. We belong obviously to all of the state associations. Avery's very active in the City Clerk Association. I'm active in the City Manager and association, both at the state and national level. We have the mayor active in a number of groups, and we also have the Municipal League dues, the National League of Cities, and the Anacostia Heritage Trails Association. Councilman Chester, are you getting notices about those meetings, or do you get to participate in any of those board meetings with ATHA? I can see from the look on your face that maybe not so often.
So I was just gonna, when you're sharing your screen, I couldn't find my microphone to unmute. They're actually having a meeting tonight.
Yeah,
Irony.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm missing it. It seems like they sort of set them and they send the dates like well in advance, and so they don't always send reminders. Like I don't think I got a reminder for tonight, but I had it just in my calendar, and I think then they sent the agenda today. So
Okay. All right. Well, I'll watch for that. If I see those, then I'll
Yeah.
shoot them out like I do for the mayor and others. So yeah, no problem.
Thanks.
They're a great group. They give us grants. Obviously,
Yeah.
Avery was successful with a rocket grant with them last year. She's going to apply again for some more grant funding from them. So they're a good group, and we want to make sure we're helping them as much as we can. Under our contract services, we have a lot of things. We have our website. We have the cleaning here at Town Hall. We have our paychecks payroll system, our time entry for the public works employees. We have an FSA program, flexible benefit spending program, but we only have one employee that participates. So it's never really caught on with the staff. So we have maintenance course on the copier, which we're ready to throw in we just bought it, but we're ready to throw it in the creek. We have pest services here, our general code update. I always like to tell the story. When I came here in 8 years ago, I asked about the code books, and the clerk at the time said, well, we don't really have one that's current. And I says, well, where are the ordinances? And she pulled open a file drawer, And in that, she handed me folders full of ordinances that were signed that should have been codified. And not only that, there were ordinances not signed by Guy Tiberio or some of the past mayors. And so, so it took me almost a year to get it in order. And we codified then, and 1998, I think we determined was the last time it had been done. And so now each year we keep it up to date. They're working on one right now to bring up to date any ordinances that we passed last year. So I'm proud of that accomplishment. We do have computer IT services, and we have really a great company now. They are on site typically one day a month, but they have a ticket system where we have an issue, we just put in the ticket. The next thing you know, they've taken care of whatever the problem might be. We pay Rick to manage our access channel, and we do some grant administration work with Shantae and others from time to time. And then we have some videos that we produce throughout the year. So fairly consistent there. General repairs, we don't have anything big planned. We are this year, we are redoing the wall on the back of the rec center. The birds have made nest in the holes in the wood, and then now the window is about to fall out. So we're going to get that fixed as we get ready to rent. We did order new chairs, folding chairs, padded, and tables for the center that we've been putting off. We've had budgeted for a couple of years, and we did order those today, so they'll be in tomorrow, and we'll have it ready to go for that purpose. I think it'll be in good shape. We don't have any fuel anymore because we don't have an admin vehicle, and the one that we do runs on electric. So we are looking at acquiring. This might be a good time to talk about. We're looking at acquiring a new pickup, and I was trying to focus on kind of a more of a pickup that's used for admin. We have the really old pickup that's seen its useful life probably, but we use it for the salt spreader, and that's a great use for it because the salt spreader is horrible on a bed of a truck. The salt just eats away at it. So I wouldn't propose that we get rid of that particular truck, but maybe if we replace it, then we do that so with a truck that's only used less maybe, and more of a backup situation so that it's available to the mayor, to the council, to the staff, the police department to use for events and activities, to throw barricades in or whatever it might be. The guys tend to live out of their truck and tend to have it full of junk all the time unless I remind them that the weekend's coming and we have an event and we want to be able to have the back of the truck open. So I'll be bringing something to you on that. The other night I did see a commercial on TV. It'd really be cool if we could get an electric pickup truck. Chevrolet makes one, and but they're in order status, and I'm sure they're quite costly, more than what we want to spend on a pickup truck. Off the state contract, I can get a pickup for about $25,000. So, and it'll have a snow plow and everything that comes with it. Our workers' comp is coming down a little bit. I was so excited when I got the estimate. Our experience mod is dropping a little bit. We've had a horrible work comp is calculated. Your rate is calculated on salaries and then your experience. And we have experienced horrible work comp history in the police department, and primarily with one particular employee. And so the payouts have been large, and our rates unfortunately shot way up. Some of those payouts are falling off as they base the experience mod on 5 years, and so as those kind of drop, then we look better. We don't have claims because of unsafe environments or because employees are some of the employees that you would expect to have a lot of claims, like the public works or some of the other police officers that are actively patrolling all the time, knock on wood, are operating very safely. So we don't have a lot of vehicle accidents, and so our insurance rates there stay very stable. And in fact, they dropped some too there. We did have, I think we've had maybe one accident in the last year, again, in the police department. But I'm not picking on the police department, Chief. It's just that that's where most of the employees are. And so that's where obviously most of the incidents are going to occur when they do occur. We have INET service, and that INET means that we're part of the county internet system. We don't get internet from Verizon or Comcast. Our internet services comes from the INET system. And so we had our annual meeting maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. Sue Ellen is the attorney for the INET, and she is also the chief negotiator for the Comcast folks and the Verizon franchise agreements. That's part of this whole consideration. So all of the towns in Prince George's County are pretty much involved in this, and this is our annual charges based on our population. So it's a great system and a great fee. Legal counsel, we stay fairly consistent there. This year I've been a little more thrifty. I don't know if you've noticed, but Sue Ellen hasn't attended all the meetings because every time she attends, it's a $265 bill. So I try to limit that if we know there's not something that's really needed for her to discuss. At some point, I believe the mayor wants us to, again, take a look at that contract and explore other options if we want. Is that a yes? Yeah, okay. Elections, we do have an election next year in May. So Avery will be cranking up that system, and I think she's going to try, I may come back and raise this a little bit. She and I haven't been able to talk yet about this, but our hope and focus is that we'll have multiple judges set up so that if one can't attend or some emergency comes up, then that's taken care of. And you may want to even have a conversation about mail-in election. Hyattsville's doing their upcoming special election for their mayor purely by mail-in ballot. So, and then just the other day I got an inquiry from Capitol Heights. They're actually hiring a company to handle their whole election. They come in and she didn't share with me the cost. She thought it was pricey, which I would imagine it would be. And so lots of options there, and we've got time obviously to think about, but we want to make sure that we don't run into a similar situation where at the last minute our judges fall out. We had multiple judges at our last election, but 2 of them at the last minute had things come up. Either they became ill or they couldn't be there. So we ended up only having 2 people on board. Our auditors, we're in the 2nd year of our audit contract, and so it goes up just a tad, but not a lot. And then seminars, I tried to maintain it pretty much the same as this year. So I focused on 3 people going to the league. We actually have 4 going this year, but that's a great thing. No, do we have 4? Yes, 4. And then I always plan for 2 in the fall, but typically we've only had 1. And now that these are going back in person, the cost will go back up a little bit. I've got the National League of Cities. I don't know that the mayor, she didn't go last year or participate last year, but she does from time to time participate in the national meeting of that. And then we we have a sponsorship of a table at the End Time Harvest Ministry banquet every year, and we always sponsor and help don't sponsor, but we help buy tickets for the Women's History Luncheon. It's coming up in April this year instead of March. Any questions or concerns on this particular one? Okay. Our bank charges, we are credit card only now, primarily. In fact, the only thing we're trying to figure out now that we do cash on is the deposit for the rec center. And we're even trying to figure out if we can go to the system like the motels have, where they just put a hold on your credit card until you bring back the key. And when you bring back the key, then that hold's released. So we're going to do some more exploring on that. Otherwise, that's the only cash activity that we have going on with us. And it's worked fine. And I think Avery's on, she can attest. I don't think we've had anyone have a difficulty making payment because of our policy. We do a little bit of advertising, not a lot. We have some legal notices when we do bids, and we do an ad in the league directory on our page. We have an ad there. Newsletter and printing, we're changing printers. Our longtime printer, Train Printing, Joe Lefson, is retiring at the end of the month. He's decided it's time to hang up the shingle, and he's been wonderful. He's just been amazing to work with, and I can't say enough good things about him. But we'll start exploring. We'll look at Doyle Printing here in town, and we'll continue to look at other printers. He has somebody that he's trying to pass the hat to some degree also. So continue. We're trying, depending on what comes out of the social media study, we'll determine more about what we focus on here in terms of printing. We're still using postcards to get the word out, although we don't know how effective they are. And we're still doing a quarterly newsletter. It'll go out next week. We have shifted to where we hand deliver the newsletter to every house. We mail it to the apartments and businesses, but we hand deliver it to the residents so that we know that it arrives, because the post office isn't so reliable with that bulk type mailing. So we always mail ourselves a postcard and here to town hall, and so that we know whether they've gone out. But then a lot of times we'll hear from like Betsy, or we'll hear from Mr. Johnson that side of town or that location didn't get the postcard, even though we got one back here at town hall. So we want to make sure whatever recommendations come out of the social media study, then we can be prepared for. Contributions, we do our annual fire department contribution, $7,500, and we do our End Time Harvest Ministry for our 2 summer interns. Do we want to talk about raising the fire department's amount? Or is everybody happy with that?
I think it's a good amount.
Why would we do that? I'm just curious.
Why? I mean, we haven't raised it for a number of years, and you know, they do provide ambulance and fire coverage for the town. They never ask, but they always seem happy. So
I think we're at a good amount.
Port towns, we don't have a lot anymore. We just do the quarterly meeting, which is going to be in April. We're helping, we've made a contact now at Riverdale Elementary. Avery's worked extremely hard. She's actually promoting with them in April, a soccer clinic at the field behind the rec center for 3 days, 2 days of clinic, and during spring break. It's actually during spring break they're doing it. They're offering it to Riverdale Elementary students and Rogers Heights, and it actually goes up to high school. The high school kids are going to be helping them with the programs. And then we provide some support to Rogers Heights and William Wirt when we get the opportunity and chance. Miss Cooper at Rogers Heights is really good about letting us know when she needs assistance or help. Community events, of course, is our big one. I budgeted again for a 2024 town anniversary celebration reserve contribution. So that upped this a little bit so that we continue to work towards building that. This will take us over around $12,000 in that fund as we work towards planning something spectacular and special. I upped the Adopt a Child program. Sorry about that. I upped the Adopt a Child because now we're up to $6,000. That includes the Shop with the Cop program. And so we raised the funds for that too. And then you can see all of the other things. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, but we're not going to do Edmonston Day. We're going to take the advice of all of you and try to combine events and have maybe a few less events. And so we're going to combine Edmonston Day in the fall with Hispanic Heritage Day celebration and have just one event. Is that
Yes,
correct?
that was the idea. Yes.
And then same way, I don't know if you noticed, but Spring Festival and Arbor Day are the same day in the spring. So we try to reduce the number there. And then Operation Arts jumped on board. They're doing a documentary and filming that day, and they wanted to do something at Veterans Park with a workshop for the kids, making art for the gallery, and then they wanted, we convinced them to have some vendors there in the park as we finish the caravan for the Spring Festival. Then if people wanted to come on down to the park there and enjoy a little bit of activity, then that will be there for that. Operation Arts is handling that portion of it. And so our big portion, if you haven't come through Town Hall, you see Avery and the staff working very hard to get the bags ready. We have 300 plus we're going to be giving out pots with seeds in them for residents. So should be a fun afternoon. And a fun morning is the Arbor Day event, and we're doing 150 trees, 50 giveaway trees to residents, and 100 trees planted in the right-of-way and public areas throughout town. So Defensia de la, Hillary, you have to help me again. Defensia de la.
Defensores de la Cuenca.
There we go. Thank you. I should learn how to say that. I need
totally different from what you said, Mr. Parker.
For sure. So they're partnering up with us again. They've become, Abel is just a wonderful partner, and we're just really happy to have them on board helping us engage the Hispanic community more and more with our activities. Any questions or comments about activities? This is one of our biggest line items actually in the general government. And then I think last, just miscellaneous, we pay for some allowances for our health insurance admin fee, miscellaneous admin fees, and that kind of thing. And that is the general government budget. It is $426,743. The one thing I would maybe want you to consider adding, if we have room at the end, is an internship for marketing. We have reached out to Bowie State University, and we have an ad out to them for an intern to come on board this summer, primarily, but even after school, and help us implement the social media strategy that Brand New comes up for us. So I'm going to come back to you and see about trying to add some funds once they tell me what the going rate should be for an intern to come in and work and do that activity. And I'd love to get some feedback from you all on how you feel about that, if that's a good, bad, or thing we should forget about.
I think it's a good thing. We won't know until we try it.
Rod, could you talk a little bit about like what the scope of the job would be for a marketing intern?
Their whole mission would be focused on social media and community engagement. So
Yeah.
whatever that would entail would be event planning in terms of getting the promoting whatever event Avery's organizing or coming up with, or anyone's coming up with. They would be working with our constant contact. We do know Brand U hasn't come up with their final report with their strategy session, but we do know they're going to propose a campaign centered around the letter E. So the marketing intern would be responsible for implementing that particular campaign, so that and what's behind it is that everyone should know they're from Edmonston, and by doing that E and getting people involved in designing how that E should look and all around that is what they're working on. So the intern would coordinate and work on that. We anticipate like 20 hours a week potentially, and part-time, obviously not full-time. So I have a whole job description and I will send that out to you.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Are you envisioning this as something that would be like for the fall and spring semester and then would fall off in the summer, or we try to find somebody to have a year-round internship going forward?
Well, right now we're focusing on summer since we're going to have and we may be late with that because, you know, a lot of students have already got their placements taken care of. The grad student supervisor that I'm working with at Bowie State, he said that you know, we may not be successful. He don't know. He was going to put it out there and see, and then he was going to also offer it up to the undergrad too. But so we are focusing on the summer for this one, and then we would, yes, our goal is to try to even get into the University of Maryland to see if we can get involved with them and maybe have just an intern every summer from one of the local universities that helps us with that area.
I wonder if we could consider trying to expand this to be something that's a year-round opportunity, because I think we need this kind of support weekly. So maybe we could do like a pilot program just for the summer to see how it goes. And then we could try to work with maybe like Bowie State or University of Maryland and establishing maybe some kind of fellowship position or something like that with their marketing department, so that it's like they get something out of it. Like a student could potentially get like credit for it, which would make it less costly to us. And then we could have them on longer.
That's a great idea. I like that.
Well, actually, Ms. Tuberville, that is superb. And I thought that's where we were.
Okay.
Try the summer intern, because we definitely see a need for that. So what you just outlined is perfect. We just needed someone to come in and help us with those items. And at first we didn't know what to call them. But yeah, I think starting with the summer intern and then trying to do it not 24/7, daily.
365.
Full time. Yeah, full time would be perfect for us.
Is that something that maybe not as sophisticated, but is that also something that like residents who are in high school and need public service hours? I mean, could we even have some of the residents helping just with pushing out social media and promoting events? And I don't to consider that sort of a, you know, for their service hours. I don't know if students still have to do those COVID times, but
yeah, I mean, that would be one of the main goals and missions of the intern, is to do community outreach and to pull in as many people as they can from the community to help with that with the help with that, getting the word out, because I
Mhm.
really believe the only way we're going to be successful is by word of mouth.
Mhm.
People forget about they forget about a postcard that shows up a week before, they forget about a text that comes the day before, or they but if people talk about it and you know, oh hey, we're going down to the town hall for this event, you want to come along, then that's going to grow. And so so I agree with you, Hillary, that,
Um,
we could get any engagement we can from anyone. We have had kids come down, knock on the door, and say they want to do community service hours.
Mhm.
We had a high school student that wanted to do focus purely on the environment. Well, then he said he wasn't quite ready to do it. Then when a little bit time when we reached back to him to say, okay, are you ready now? He decided that no, it wasn't something he wanted to do after all. So
But
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think a student get community service hours could sort of lead this, but just
no,
could we be
right.
giving community service hours if students attend the events and tweet about them or Instagram, and I mean just to get, I don't know if
Now,
that's
that's a great idea right there.
that.
We'll
Yeah.
give you student hours, student service hours. We just need you to attend and tweet. That's
Mhm.
wonderful. Good luck doing it, but that's wonderful.
Man, things have changed since we were in school.
I know.
Yeah.
We're using Twitter.
Yeah.
We have to figure out the 60% of our population. We have to figure out what motivates them for communication.
Mhm.
What gets them excited about learning about things from town hall or
Mhm.
activities, or are we not doing the right programs? We thought a lot of that was going to come out of the social media study, but unfortunately in the questionnaire and survey that they did, they didn't ask those questions. And so we don't really know yet what kind of events, you know. That's why we're trying to focus maybe on the Wi-Fi cafe down at the rec center, where young people can come in, middle school and high school can come in and sit down on their computer and do homework, or you know, maybe there's some game activity that goes on, or maybe there's a book club, or there's you know, whatever. I don't know what, I'm old, so I don't know what young people, high school age and middle school age, are into other than the game thing, the what do you call them, the Wii, or the, no, I guess it isn't Wii anymore. What
Xbox.
Yeah, but I
what is
think
it?
that
Xbox?
it doesn't. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think that even having people of all ages are constantly on their phones looking at things, you know, like they're scrolling through. And so to have even people do little TikTok videos at the events, then other residents will ideally see it and then like, oh, that did look fun, that caravan looked fun, that Hispanic Day looked fun, and just then maybe the next event I will go because that last one looked fun. And just, I think part of what we need isn't just advertising events in advance, it's like blasting out fun little
During.
funny video clips while it's happening, and
Mhm.
then, you know, for a couple days after, so people just see it and think like, that looked fun, I'm going to do the next one. I think that's part of the social media, is not just advertising but also in the moment, and you know,
Yeah.
here's my highlights of crazy photos, and I don't, and I think people of all ages look at things like that, and once they see that that's a fun thing to follow, maybe they'll follow us if we have students putting more funny, cutesy little TikTok videos, little Instagram posts around town. And I don't know, just a
Well,
Yeah, no,
I'll tell you, Hillary, I was talking to Mr. Barnes, and I'm just finding the song because we're going to do a TikTok video.
yeah, see,
Yeah. The council and staff, the police officers.
and
Yeah,
people of all ages watch them. Maybe not everybody
They
makes
do.
them, but everybody
Right.
watches them.
Mhm.
All ages, yeah. So we need young people to make it. And we can be hip. We can make fun videos too. Not just
Yeah. It's just the song I'm working on.
right on.
You know, we're trying a lot of different things. We thought the idea of getting students involved in events that would bring their parents along and grandparents along, and unfortunately, that hasn't occurred. And partly because we were virtual, that could have been the reason. We don't know, but we're going to keep on, and this marketing intern certainly will be able to help us in that, perhaps, because there'll be a college age youngster that wants to do those TikTok videos and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat or whatever it's called, whatever all those things are called.
You're on it.
But I also think we got to realize 60% of the people in the town that aren't getting involved, or out of that, half of them, they don't want to. They just want to be, you know. So if we can reach, I would say 20% of that 60, we've done well.
Well, I always take the position that if we have 5 people or 10 people at the whatever we're doing, it's a success. We've reached that number. I always want lots more. You know, we had 75 people come plant trees and tulip bulbs and pick up trash in the fall, and they were all Hispanic, and they weren't from our community though. They were from the area, and so we just need to figure out how to get that same vibe going. And I think you all are onto something, and I think you all are talking about the right things, and we just need to pull it all together with the social media plan, and then with the intern that's going to come on board to make it all happen. And that's the general government budget. So we can jump to Public Works.
Okay.
Public Works is fairly simple. The big thing there is trash. I mean, we have the 2 employees. I went through that already. I'm not going to go through it again. We do budget some overtime because of snow removal. Last 2 years ago, we only spent $57.97. You can see we only spent $4,200 this year. So we're staying well under what we need to. The snow and ice is what typically drives that. Let's see what else is good here. Streetlights, the mayor did jumped on board with some of the delegates to help get legislation through the legislature to allow programs where towns can potentially improve the streetlights through the LED program. And you heard Pepco talk about that they're working on a program that they can offer out to us. So hopefully we can do that in the future. Mayor Gant had something to celebrate this last week. Do you want to share that again, Mayor?
About the grant?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was in conversation with Delegate Alonzo Washington, and he wanted to know if we had any shovel-ready projects, in which we do. So I just sent him a text back saying yes, and listed what we had. And just this week, he said that he has, let me tell you. Now, I don't know if it's all for us, but I believe it is. He sent me a text that said, I got $300,000 for street lighting and sidewalks. So we'll benefit from that $300,000, whether it's all ours or shared. It's wonderful. And that was in no time.
Right.
So I appreciated that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he sent me a postcard.
He sent you a postcard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I talk to him every now and then.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So he always asks me what's what. But at the time he's asking me, nothing comes to mind.
Very good. He's starting to reach out a little bit more. That's a good thing.
So the
And we
street-
have not had a, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
no, it's-
No, don't leave me.
Oh, we have not had a delegate to reach out in that manner and actually come through. So I'll give him all kudos for that.
and the project we'd be looking at is street lighting on 42nd Avenue down to the park, sidewalks over on that side of town, since we can't get grants typically to do them over there. So we would have them on Hamilton, Gallatin, and 47th, and then looking at some street lighting on 52nd Avenue to try to help with some of the concerns along there. So we provide uniforms for Public Works to employees. They do very little training. They do belong to the state association and attend some of their meetings. We try to sweep the streets semi-annually, and we do rent equipment from time to time. There today, they, for instance, rented the lift to put up the new banners. We have new banners being designed that will have the town of Edmonston on them, specifically with something focusing on our logo, but without the town hall building, and focusing on the river and the trail, and it's being designed by the Operation Arts folks. And so once it gets completed, I'll bring it to you to see. And if you like, then we will have banners made that will stay up year round, except for the holidays. That will eliminate having to go up and down for the seasons and renting that equipment to do that. Snow removal, we don't usually spend our snow removal budget, and keep knocking on wood. The $3,000 is the salt we buy each year, and we do that through our landscapers. They hold that for us and track our inventory, and then if we have any left, we use it up for the next year before they charge us again then for another $3,000. Our mosquito control, we've talked about that already. Beautification is going up some because we keep adding rain gardens. We're up to 30 rain gardens. We're going to be up to 40 at the end of summer, and we'll move up to almost 50 by the end of next year. So they're doing training so that we can train the guys to perhaps do some of that maintenance, so that we don't have to spend as much to the landscapers to put down the mulch every year, to weed and feed and all the things to clean out the drains, so that they continue to work better. We partnered with the Neighborhood Design Center with a grant application with Mount Rainier and us, and so they were successful. We'll be doing a maintenance training program this coming year. Tree maintenance, we're continuing to do that. Once the inventory is completed, it's underway. They've spent a day. If you see tags on the trees, you know that that's the tree inventory has been by to mark that tree. Once it's completed, then they're going to be coming back to us, or we're going to be identifying through that program that we need to do some maintenance on trees in the right of way. Trash collection is getting ready to go out for bid. I'll be sending those bids out next week. We do have 2 other companies interested besides Bates, so I'm excited that we may have some competition. Bates, although they have continued, they've become a major headache at Elizabeth's Landing. That we had a dumpster there that the doors fell off. I couldn't get it replaced. I finally got it replaced, and now they're not happy with the new dumpster because the elderly ladies can't lift the lid to put the trash in. They need a door on the side, and they put a dumpster without doors on the side. So I don't know if I'll be successful at getting them to change it out again, but I'll keep trying. I told everyone, I sent a request 3 weeks running. Each time I emailed the same people. Well, the last time I emailed, one of the residents in Elizabeth's Landing sent me pictures and wrote a description. So I just took that and forwarded it to Bates, and I sent it to 3 people, and I got read receipts from 7 people and no response. so I was just cracking up. I was like, every time I got a read receipt, I didn't recognize the name, but it was Bates, and it was just like, okay, could somebody just say what? But then anyway, what the resident came home, and lo and behold, they had replaced the dumpster, but unfortunately, it's with the top lid, not the side door. So. Oh, and then Bethany is working on whether we want to offer composting pickup for food scraps. And so she's developed a survey. It's going to be going out. I think we are going to suggest that she spend time going door to door to make that happen and get feedback on whether folks would participate in that if we paid for the small bucket container, and then we had a pickup day for picking that up and obtaining it. EcoCity Farms is participating in a food waste program with the same company that we're talking to and discussing, but I'm going to include it as an alternate in the sanitation contract that's getting ready to go out. So. Our HUR funds keep going up a little bit, although they went back down just a little bit. But we're happy, and Mayor Gant, I know, is supporting again an effort. It got out of the House to raise it even further in 2025. So we use that for a lot of different things. We're going to be using some of it potentially for the Decatur Street repair, which is phase 2 this summer. That's the bumpy area between Taylor and 48th. And so the washboard will get replaced and at the stop sign, and the permeable pavement that's failing will get replaced with the concrete blocks. And there is our 2008 Chevy pickup that I want to potentially replace. So. Work comp we talked about, vehicle insurance, liability insurance. Engineering, we use some funds for engineer to consult on projects. We're going to be hiring a traffic engineer to discuss more about Ingraham, Lafayette, and our plan. Thursday night, our planner, Zachary, that's with Park and Planning, has suggested that we really work hard at pushing Lafayette Street through to Riverdale to 47th Street, and Riverdale is, I believe, receptive to that. So we just need to have a conversation. They just don't want the truck traffic turning right and going down Taylor and into the school zone area and they want it to feed to the west more, and so there may be a lot of discussion going back and forth. I know Betsy shared some articles with me from the past about that whole issue and the whole Riverdale Park things. The chief dealt with a complaint. He said that recently from a resident about some noise from a business over on Riverdale Park side. We deal with trash constantly. I talked to the manager about some suggestions. John's a good friend of mine, and one of the things he suggested is that we put sidewalks down that side of the Riverdale side, and then that would eliminate being able to park in that right-of-way area, and you have to keep those sidewalks open. So that's even a suggestion that we're looking at over on Buchanan Street. So if we put a sidewalk down, then obviously you got to park behind the sidewalk. And that would eliminate probably one car depth all the way down along there. So,
They're all great ideas.
I think that's just about it for Public Works, unless you all have some questions or concerns.
Any questions, concerns with what we reviewed? Oh, Hillary went to go and take care of her baby real quick. Oh, you got
I
it.
didn't have any.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Here. I'm good.
You're good.
Public Works is doing a sign inventory, working on making sure that every no parking sign has an English and Spanish version on the post. And so they haven't got that completed, and they wanted me to look at some wording to help them get moving with that. We have a lot to do for them to do before the advisors come in June from American Bloom, because we want all the signs straight. We want all the signs correct. We want them being able to be read, and we want to make sure that curbs are painted, and you know, I don't know what we're going to have in terms of recommendations on Thursday night when you all do your exercise with the planners, but should be fun.
Rod and Mayor, I have a question for you. Do we know any of our like peer communities like Colmar Manor, Cottage City are planning on doing with their ARPA funds?
Yes, they each hired a manager, and so to manage their funds, and so they're going through Bladensburg, Colmar Manor, Cottage City are going through public process. Bladensburg is at the end, toward the end of theirs. They held sessions for residents, for businesses, and for nonprofits. They didn't have great participation. The mayor maybe can talk more about that, but Cottage City just hired a manager for to manage their funds, and I'm sure they're going through a similar process. And then Colmar Manor, I guess I don't know what Colmar Manor is doing. Do you, Mayor?
They've hired someone.
Oh, okay.
Well, they're hiring someone to for that, but they also did a survey and didn't have high participation, oddly enough. They had a few sessions and not a lot of participation. They had a few, but not, usually they have a lot of volunteers, but this time they didn't.
I know Bladensburg's attendance was poor at their sessions as well.
Okay.
I do know that Riverdale also hired someone. I don't know about their participation with their sessions, their listening sessions, or their residents coming in, but they did hire someone as well, as did you mention Hyattsville?
Yeah, I knew Hyattsville had.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, because we discussed that, I think, last week.
Okay.
I wonder if I could just put some more food out there for thought about what we could do with a portion of those funds. Rod talking about inflation made me think about this. I know we don't want to commit any of these funds to sort of, personnel, because it could, we can't sustain that year after year after year. But given the inflation problem right now, I wonder if we might want to consider a slight, a bigger COLA across the board for all of our town employees that could be paid for through the ARPA funds and maybe it wouldn't even be a COLA. Maybe we could just say that it's like, I don't know, back hazard pay or something like that. Whatever we can do with the ARPA funds, just because it is, the inflation thing is real, and our town is small, and a lot of our staff, while we have good benefits, these are not the highest paying jobs in the county. And, I think folks can get hit pretty hard for that reason. So anyway, I just wanted to suggest that maybe we think about a bigger increase of some kind for the year, or some kind, I don't know if we would call it bonus or whatever, but that's what I wanted to just put out there for consideration.
Any comment from anyone? Well, I think that we could discuss it, but also consider the COLA and longevity. And also any, well, we don't have to include their annual reviews, but just consider we did add the longevity. And, but that's good thought. That's a good heart. We'd have to think about that across the board, also considering we have new employees that we just hired as well.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, maybe
it's worth
there.
the conversation and a little, yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's like an equitable way to do it that is tied to, you know, months of service or whatever, right? That like if you've been here under 6 months, it's this. If it's under 12 months, it's this. If it's over 12 months, it's this kind of thing.
I think it's something that could be tweaked, probably. Let's talk about that. Think about that. I'll have discussion with Mr. Barnes as well, and we can kind of come back to you on that
Okay.
and take whatever other suggestions you have. That's really that's good and thoughtful, because inflation is real.
Mm. Yeah.
Okay. So, is there any other questions concerning or comments concerning this beautiful presentation, as usual?
Not so much, Mayor, about this presentation, but just to talk about future presentations. The 29th, we had planned to have a meeting, and that is conflicted with other events. So we were looking at eliminating that session. And then on April 5th, we were our work session, that's town council work session night. We were going to make that our listening session for the residents to give us ideas on the use of the ARPA funds. And then between now and then, the survey will go out also. And then, so then we would need a session for, I don't believe we can do the listening session and the police department review all the same night, and work session reviewing the agenda. So I think that's a lot to do in one night. But if you think we can do all of that in one night, that's great. But otherwise, we would need to set a session for the police department next week. Potentially Thursday night, maybe.
So I don't think that the listening session or the residents' participation time would be very long. That's if we even get anyone in.
Okay.
But also we could just set a time limit for that.
Okay.
A short discussion about it, set a time limit, just to get, I'd love to get at least 2, 3, 10 people in, you know, just to get some ideas. And if we're getting ideas, that's a start, you know. And so that, and then we have the police department presentation. And then what else?
That's it. Well,
Okay.
I mean, it's a work session, review the agenda, but we don't have any items for the agenda per se right now.
Yeah.
So that
I
wouldn't
think
take
we
long.
can handle it.
Okay, cool. So April
What do you
5th.
guys think? You think so? You can nod your head. Yep. All right,
Yeah.
All
cool.
right.
Yeah.
That's all I
So-
have, Mayor.
Okay, before we close out this meeting, I just would like to request a closed session, and it's just the council. If you're in agreement, I'll accept the motion to go into a closed session, and then we'll just close out this session.
I'll make the
Mayor.
motion.
Before we do that, can I ask Rod a quick question?
And you know, I didn't ask the chief if he had any questions or comments, even though I did open it up for him. Okay. Go ahead, Miss Chester. No, is that Miss Chester or Tuberville?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I want to make sure I've got our dates right.
Mhm.
So we are not having a session on the 29th.
Correct.
Okay, and so then our next one is going to be on April
5th,
5th.
6:30.
Okay, and then we'll have our regular town council meeting on April 13th.
Correct.
Got it. Sorry, slow in the uptake. Appreciate it.
Oh, that's cool. So I will accept the motion to go into a work session
I'll make the
after we,
motion that we will go into private session and we will.
I said work session. Thank you.
And we'll
I'll
adjourn.
second.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate by
Aye.
saying aye.
Aye.
And now I'll accept a motion to close this session.
I move we close the session and go into
Work
private
session.
session.
Yeah,
A second
Executive.
motion?
closed session.
Executive session.
I'm sorry, yeah,
Closed
closed
executive
session.
Yeah.
I kept saying work session. Who's second?
I did.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Chester. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Fantastic, thank you. And so this is just the council.